I've come down to Exmoor today. I'm staying here for the next 3 nights actually, camping as part of a long weekend getaway. I've driven my car to Simonsbath in the heart of Exmoor, and I parked in the fairly small car park in the village. I'm now walking south following the River Barle towards an area called Wheal Eliza. I know that Wheal's an old name for works, and there's some history here about an old mill, I guess, because it's water and the river going past. I'm soon going past Cow Castle as well, and a bit further on make a 60-mile loop, hopefully, all going well. It's supposed to be a dry one today, quite a bit of sunshine later on. We had quite a lot of rain the last few days, so it's going to be wet underfoot, but it should be a good walk. I've not been to this part of Exmoor before. I'm currently following the Two Moors Way for the first half hour or so. I've just passed the ruins of Wheal Eliza cottage. There's a family of young, energetic kids about, so I don't do too much filming. Yeah, I thought it would be quite a busy area along here, initially anyway. It's very picturesque, as you can imagine. Great views down the valley and the river beside me. The campsite I'm staying at is about probably a 30-minute drive from here. It's just off of Winsford Hill, further east of where I am now. And I'm doing a walk tomorrow, which follows the River Barle a bit further on, past tar steps. So I'm following the Barle now this morning and later on today. And I'll see more of it again tomorrow, so it's quite good to have that ongoing journey. And that big mound ahead, that must be Cow Castle. I'm sure that Abby Barnes did a video here of a wild camp in this area last year. I think it was her first ever solo wild camp, and she talked about facing the fears of wild camping in generally, and also doing it alone and as a female. That's well worth watching. I've put a link up here and below as well. I'm nearly 1 hour into this walk and we're leaving the Two Moors Way very soon. Now I'm going to carry on towards Blue Gates, crossing the bridge and then onto the roads, I reckon. As the land beyond me is all open access land, I was hoping that I could do a cheeky shortcut, bypass the road section and just make my way up the hill, but looking there now, it's all bracken. There's not even a sheep track to go through there. Up to my left is Halse Hill. I can just see a lone deer in that clearing, if it's still there. Yeah, it's still there. And apart from that, there's no one else around here, behind me or ahead. Suddenly gone very quiet in Exmoor. I'm talking shit again. There's a whole herd of deer right there, young and old. Probably about 30 of them, more than that. Just having something to eat while I watch the deer go about their business. They're very aware of me over here, slowly moving away. I won't stay here too long. I recently brought these new trail running shoes with the Cleveland Way in mind. It's only 3 or 4 weeks away from this point. These are made by a company called Topo Athletic, if it's Topo or Topo, and they're basically a barefoot inspired shoe, so they've got a natural shaped toe box with room for your toes to spread as they want to do naturally. They've got a minimal drop on them. I think it's between the heel height and the forefoot, it's a 3mm difference. Most shoes have like an 8mm difference, which is quite a high drop. And yeah, the main reason I bought them is because they're pretty lightweight, they're trail shoes, and they've got that natural toe box shape, which I always look for these days. They've got a decent amount of support underneath. There's a Vibram sole with some good tread on them, if you can barely see it. They were £110 online, and yeah, they're not waterproof at all. I'm also wearing some waterproof socks underneath those because they're not waterproof. The ones I've got are the Bridgedale Storm socks. They're working well so far. And I've also got these, my first time wearing these, it's the Montane, or they're trail gaiters they're called. They're for trail running shoes. They're not like normal waterproof gaiters for keeping the water out. They keep the muck out your boots and your stones and that sort of thing, and the grit. I saw Hayes Outdoors wearing these on his Cape Wrath walk, the Cape Wrath trail. I thought I might get some for myself. They're not too expensive. All that talking and the deer have gone, so it's time to hit the road and carry on. I've been following this road now for a good 25 minutes. It's been quite peaceful. I'm nearly at, what's it called? Blue Gate. I believe Gate refers to an old entryway to the national park, maybe at its former boundary, or before that perhaps the old boundary of the national forest that once lived here. If you look on the OS map, there's quite a few named gates around the national park. The one I recall is called Brendan 2 Gates. It sounds like a nickname for someone at school. I'm looking to carry on going further west towards, I think it's Chains Barrow, an old barrow, an old burial site. And the field to my right is labelled as a deer park, but as you can see, those aren't deer in that field. There's definitely cows. Up here now is Blue Gate, and across there is going to be the B Road. I drove down that this morning. There's a huge cairn memorial just down the way here. I'm not going to show you it because it's a bit far out of the way, but further down the road there's a massive cairn beside the road. I've just turned off at Winsford Gate. I know for a fact now the road I'm following follows the historic boundary of Exmoor National Forest. There's a walk called the Exmoor Perambulation you can do in June every year, and that follows this very route here. It's about 10 to 1 now. I've been walking for nearly 3 hours now. I'm looking for a stone row in a field on my left hand side, somewhere ahead of me, and probably a lunch stop as well. So the White Ladder stone row should be across here somewhere, right in front of me, but I can't clearly see it. I'm going to carry on up the boundary of Five Burrows Hill, and there should be a trig point up here. So you've got 2 barrows over there I can see, and 3 more over here, and there's a guy here on the 3rd mound. Trig point in the middle. And looking beyond all of this, further south, there must be Dartmoor. And then further over this way, beyond these 2 barrows, I can see the coastline, the North Devon coast. Rather bleak view of Exmoor from here. I'm going to carry on shortly after I've had my lunch, following the road a bit more this direction. One last look at these 2, and beyond the little wire fence here there's an old, like a man-made, bit like a ditch, like a kind of an old, I guess it's an old boundary line they've made with like a bank. That's the word I'm looking for, a bank. I like to try and identify these things when I'm out walking in a place like this. Take a moment to think, what were they previously and why are they there? Same with all these old barrows and burial mounds and the stone row I couldn't find. It's one thing I enjoy from Wheal Eliza's videos. I'll never claim to have Simon's knowledge of all things historical and ancient, but I find it fascinating that you can just observe a landscape and pick things out like that. So I'm following this road a bit further north to join the Tarka Trail, going north again towards the Edgerley Stone. And again, thinking this was once the boundary line for the Exmoor National Forest. Everything on my right then was once forestry. But that's all going back like 700 years or so. I was thinking about another road bypass through these fields here, but you can see there are cattle in this field and more in the next, so I'm going to I'll bypass the cattle rather than the roads. I think roads are less dangerous. And these cows have probably seen fewer walkers up close. Well, that should be no more road walking today. And the path I'm following now is the Tarka Trail. You can see these paw print line marks. These denote the Tarka Trail. And that one, a bit like the Two Moors Way, I think it starts down on Dartmoor, comes across this part of Exmoor, and also finishes up either Lynmouth or Linton, I forget which, but down by the coast there, just north of here. I bypassed something just now called the Mole's Chamber. I'm guessing it's like a cave or a pothole entrance, maybe something like that. And there's a guy down there I could see doing something, so I thought leave him to it. I've still got a long way to go. I'm probably over halfway on this walk now, or hopefully it should be. I'm heading north for a bit more, then turning east past Exford. I've got a serious case of post-lunch slumber going on. If I sat down now, I could just nod off for half an hour or so. I really feel tired. I'm not too sure why. I reckon it's because I was sat in the wind. You know, when you go out for a cold day's walking in the winter, you come home into the warm again and you just kind of nod off straight away, your body relaxes. I kind of got that going on. And I've still got probably 6 miles to go. There's supposed to be something around there called the Edgerley Stone, which looks like it's going to be a boundary stone of some kind or a marker, but I can't see anything significant right away. I'm getting towards the road now. It's going to be this side of the boundary. I would have thought it would be quite tall and quite obvious. I've just crossed the Bree Road and I'm following the Tarka Trail up to Woodbarrow Gate. Off to my right here, going east, is the Pinkery Centre where they do outdoor activities, and they've got a bunkhouse as well. And that's where the Exmoor Perambulation starts every year and finishes. So this last bit would be the very end of that walk, which I haven't quite done. And beyond Woodbarrow Gate, when I turn east, cross over Pinkery Pond, which is quite popular for wild swimming and that kind of thing. I go a bit further east, past Exford, and then turn south towards Simonsbath. And it was back in June 2015 that I attempted the Exmoor Perambulation. The whole thing is 31 miles. I thought, yeah, I can do that. I've done a few 20 and 30 mile walks, it'd be fine. But I underestimated the terrain of Exmoor and the conditions here. And I got lost on the first half of the walk, and by the time I got to the halfway point I was too late to be allowed to carry on. And one of the rangers there, his name was Dave, he was saying that if you were to carry on, you've still got 9 miles of road walking. I've been saying every year that I'll try again this year, but I reckon 2022, and some of that route crosses private land with no bridle ways to follow. So you end up using compass bearings and all that kind of skilled work, which is where I got lost basically on the first attempt. If you could just see it past that windmill, the Pinkery Centre is, I think it's right there, it's a white building, that's part of it. It used to be a youth hostel, I'm not sure if it still is or just a bunkhouse, but you can stay there overnight any time of year. Pinkery Pond is just over this next boundary, and beyond that I can see the trig point on Chains Barrow, a little mound on top of the hill there. I'm going that way, or past it next. I did try and get up there maybe 3 or 4 years ago in a video. The walk started from Shilston Hill, took in I think Badgeworthy Water, Lanarcombe, I think across Farley Water somewhere on the way back. And I passed by this area near Axe Head. I tried to get to that trig point, but the gate leading to it, there was a large puddle beneath it full of stagnant water and hundreds of thousands of midges, so I kind of turned away from that and just carried on with the walk. I came this far last time. There's a warning here for deep bogs. The trig point should be Chains Barrow, somewhere over there. It looks like they've reinforced this area a bit with some more stone. Speaking of deep bogs, that's pretty deep. Yeah, mind your final steps here. Right, Chains Barrow, attempt number 2. Made it. Being an old barrow, there's obviously some significant archaeological history to it. Yeah, 80 years ago, they dug a big hole and dumped it full of concrete, so it can't be that sacred, can it? Looking north from here, I can see the Bristol Channel and the coastline of South Wales beyond that. For the first time today, it's a pretty good view. And again, in that direction, you've got the coast of Devon on the west side. It's a part of the coast I haven't actually walked at all. I should try and do that at some point. There are some long, never-ending bridleways on this route, and it can be quite hard to kind of get on with them. But I try and relax a bit because normally I'm very objective focused, trying to get from point to point. Whereas on a bridleway you can kind of, you've got 2 miles to go, you can sort of relax a bit, that when you get to that junction you've got to turn off somewhere, think about when you get there. In the meantime you can kind of be more present and just walk with it really. But I'm quite keen to get back to my car and get onto the campsite. It is now 25 past 4. I should get there by 6, I reckon.